The Auburn Tigers smashed Indiana 104-76. Let's talk about that and take a little look at this Auburn basketball team on today's episode of the Uptempo Podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Yes, sir. What is up, Auburn family? I hope everybody's doing good out there, man. I'm your host, Dustin Smith, joined as always by my guy, Blake Lane. And Blake, I'm about to say a sentence that at one point in my life I never thought I would say. But the Auburn Tigers beat the Indiana Hoosiers 104-76 in basketball, my guy. We're here to talk about that game and take a look at just overall how we feel like this team has started off here. We improved to 6-2 and where we think we can go. But how are you feeling today, buddy?
I'm feeling great, Dustin. Guess what, man? The Auburn Tigers football program is sky high right now. I know we'll talk about that on our live episode this week, but Keontae Scott is back, baby. You love to hear that. Can't wait to dive in and talk about the transfer portal as it heats up for the Auburn Tigers. But first, man, I'm riding sky high on this Auburn basketball team, and the performance that they showed Saturday with Indiana coming into Atlanta, and we're seeing tweets that the Indiana fans have traveled, Dustin, and they've packed out the arena in Atlanta, and Auburn fans felt outnumbered, and Indiana comes out hot. They come out on fire, man. This team, they make like 2 to 3 threes a game in their first 4 shots. They're hitting them from behind the arc, and you kind of see Auburn get down 10, and you're like, oh boy, here we go. But this team, they responded, they answered, they went on a big run right there, and usually. You don't see this team close out first halves like they did Saturday, and that was super impressive to me. And there's multiple guys that we'll talk about on today's episode that I thought played really, really well. And I was told a week ago when they went to Boone and they struggled on that Sunday game, it was such a weird setting, man. It was such a weird gymnasium to play in, man. It was just, it wasn't Auburn's day. Auburn had a tough break, and, losses like that happen, man. That's a good Sun Belt team, and that's a team that if I had to put money on it, they're probably going to make the tournament.
They'll at least win 18 games. They'll at least win 18, 19 games.
Yeah, and they have a very high chance of winning their conference tournament and making the NCAA tournament. So that's a good basketball team, and it was just a rough spot in between games too, man. Like we had to wait so long to play and everything, and it was just like, what are you going to get, and you come out sluggish, and it happened. You tried to fight back there at the end, but that was my biggest thing about this game is when Auburn fell down in that first half, Dustin. I thought they responded really well, and there's some guys on this team that have stepped up already this year, and a couple guys that have transferred in. We know about CBM. We'll talk about him in a minute, but Trey Donaldson coming back for his second year in an Auburn uniform. I'm super impressed with him. And just the entire team, man. Johni Broome only has 2 points, and we win like this. Like, come on, man. You got to be proud of this team. You got to be excited about this basketball team. And look, you can sit here and tell me that Bruce Pearl doesn't get his guys up for big games. This Auburn team got up Saturday. They were ready. They were ready for this monumental task. And you know what? You send an Indiana player smooth out of college basketball. So I'm excited about the rest of the season, man, especially these next 2 games coming up. Auburn fans keep asking, why aren't we ranked yet? Well, I feel like if you win these next 2 games, you're going to be ranked. So handle business and take care of your home court. And at the end of the day, next Monday when the polls come out, you'll be ranked.
Yeah, and ranks. The polls are fun, but in college basketball, I could really care less. Right? It's more about building that resume. I did see somewhere on Twitter today with 29th. I don't know if that was exactly what poll that was, or maybe if that was the Kim Palm or whatever. But we're in good standing. You've had two good losses. You talked about App State. Look, the Sun Belt, their conference tournament is here in Pensacola. I've gone to it a couple of times. It's a good league. The Sun Belt's a good league in everything. It's a good baseball league, hell of a baseball league. Got a ton of. I mean, we sure did like Jalen McLeod, right? Like there's some ball players in there in football, and same thing as basketball. Tough opponent. No matter football, baseball, basketball, App State's going to have a good crowd that shows out, that's into it. Tough, tough loss, close loss on the road that's not going to kill you. You made a good point when you talked about the difference between games, because that would affect you. That would affect the most experienced of teams, right? Because basketball is a rhythm sport. But when we're still trying to figure out rotations, when we still have guys that are still trying to figure out their role and figure out how to play with each other, new transfers that are coming in, that only compounds that issue as well. So I think you saw something like that, which made this. Then you had a whole nother 5 or 6 days, whatever it was, before you come back and play Indiana. It was good to get that Hoopsgiving championship back after Memphis kind of pushed us around last year. When you talked about the first half, Blake, just the way that we came. I mean, Indiana had the first couple of the first 3 or 4 minutes where they shot the lights out or whatever. When they finished the half 4 for 9 from the 3-point line. We finished 6 for 17. Free throws, Blake, we shot 12 of 13 in the first half, and we only had 1 turnover, and then to their 7, and then we out rebounded them 23-20 as well. I thought that Jaylin in the first half had 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 8 points. Just your quintessential Jaylin Williams performance, just nice, smooth, under control, not trying to force it. And who comes off the bench with 9 points in the first half to bring the juice when it was getting kind of stale and you needed it? KD Johnson. That's what he does, Blake. He comes in and he gives you energy.
KD. Can we get Atlanta KD every night out? Can we get Atlanta KD? I want that psycho. But Dustin, I thought you hit the nail on the head, man. The free throw shooting. We've struggled with free throw shooting for years in the jungle, and to see this Auburn team, this is what happens when you shoot free throws. You make free throws and you don't turn the basketball over. Last year's team, man, we had a problem. We couldn't make free throws and we turned it over at a high rate. Yeah. And you're going to win games like this when you don't turn it over and you make your free throws.
We were 20 for 23 into the game, 87%.
87%, man. Like, you're going to win a lot of basketball games when you shoot 87%. That's as simple and plain, man. Look, I can't tell you how many times, go back in some of these losses, even in the App State loss, I can't remember who it was, but coming down the stretch, I think we were down 4. We go to the line for a 1-and-1. We missed the front end.
I want to say it was Aiden, but don't quote me. But it wasn't. It was somebody that you were like that he should make this.
Yes, and you missed the front end of the 1-and-1, and now instead of it being a 3-point game with a chance to be a 2-point game, you're back to a 4-point game because you can't make free throws. Look, Jaylin Williams, I need that from you every night we step on the floor.
He's capable.
He is capable. He's damn right he's capable. And if we get that performance from Jay Will, man, this team is deadly. I'm telling you right now, man, you beat a team like Indiana, who's a pretty dang good basketball team, who's already played 2 Big Ten opponents. Johni only has 2 and you win like that. Like, this team's rebounding too, man. Like, I know it hasn't been the prettiest, but they're rebounding. They're getting dirty in the paint a little bit. I know Johni got worked a little bit here and there, but it's been nasty. It's been slimy, but they're getting it done on the glass. It's not like last year when they were just getting pounded on the glass. I like this team, man. I think it's still a growing process, though. There's still room to grow with this team. Like Aiden. It's gonna take Aiden time, man. Like it takes kids time to develop into college basketball for the game to slow down and them eventually get it. And I think that's kind of happening with Aiden. The more games he plays, the more comfortable he will get. And you saw that. You saw that against Indiana. He looked like he was comfortable. I think Trey Donaldson helped him a little bit with that. Get the relief. Guard play is always going to help you, bro. Like when our guards play the way they did, I feel like that takes a little bit something off of Aiden's shoulders because like I go back and look at the end of that App State game, man. We took some really, really dumb shots. Like
Yeah.
dumb shots.
Yeah.
And
About the last 4 minutes, we kind of shot
yes,
ourselves in the foot. Really didn't give ourselves a chance.
yes. And I feel like Aiden kind of presses here and there when the guard play isn't what it needs to be. But this is a team that's going to continue to grow, man. I really feel like the potential of this team could be a Sweet 16. I really do, Dustin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. And before we get off of this game and kind of look at the team as a whole, Blake, just when you talk about Johni only having 2 points, the, look at it. It speaks to the depth. Jaylin has 24 points. Aiden chips in 24. Denver with 12. And I want to make this point about Denver. You know, Denver's kind of been struggling here at the start of the season. Blake, I think that Denver needs to get to the basket. When Ike did his film study on Denver when he committed back in the offseason, that was probably more impressive than the high 3-point percentage that he had. He was really strong taking it to the hoop. And I think that struggling to find his jump shot, kind of struggling to find his way in a new system, new team, new players, new surroundings, all that. I think it would be good for Denver to really try to get to the hole to establish itself. But he chips in with 12, and then our boy Chad Baker with 11. KD with 14 off the bench in 19 minutes. Dylan Carwell gives you only 2, obviously, but he gives you 8 rebounds. And then you mentioned Trey with 10 points, three assists, and 7 boards. So, I mean, that's how you can get away with Janai only having 2 is because you got Aiden and Jaylin both chip in with 24 apiece, right? So just you talk about depth. Bruce has told us all off season that I got 10 guys and I can and knowing that he can put in Lior and really can it can have 11 at times. And so that's the exciting part. And Indiana's a high level team. Like you said, Indiana's a team that's going to make the tournament. So I think that you can look at this performance and say, okay, this is something that could translate to the high level teams that we're going to play in the SEC. Blake, I wanted to get over here, dude, and look at some of these newcomers and talk about some of these guys coming in. Let's start with CBM. You know, me and you text during the game, and I know that I know you really like Chad Baker Mazara's game. In 19.6 minutes a game, he's averaging 8.6 points per game, and on about right at 44% shooting. Mm-hmm. And then rebounding, he is. Well, this is an in-depth chart I've got here. So rebounding, he's at 3.3, and then assists, he's at 2.5. So a little bit of everything. Just talk about what you like about his game.
I like first thing about CBM, man, is he doesn't have to be the superstar. I feel like he knows that there's other guys that are going to get their shots up before him, and he's okay with playing that 6-man role off the bench, coming in. And just getting 10, man. Give me double digits, you know. And one thing I love is his dribble drive, pull up, mid range game. I feel like he's one of the deadliest in the country. Dribble drive, pull up, get around that elbow right there, man. And just stop and pop, man. I feel like that's a nasty part of his game. I feel like he's really sneaky rebounding the basketball too. He's one of those guys that'll get in the paint and bang, you know. I really, really like when he turns it up on defense. That is probably one of my favorite things of his game, man, is we know he can throw down the highlight reel dunk. And when he gets out in transition, he's electrifying. But I really feel like he busts ass on defense. And And one thing that I'm super impressed with as a team this year, I feel like last year we fouled a lot, man. We had a lot of senseless fouls, and I feel like we're growing. These new guys, they're playing defense, man. They're playing physical defense, but they're not fouling as much the deeper that we get into the season. I've been impressed with that. I feel like the Baylor game, we were fouling a lot. And I was like, man, the deeper the game gets, we're in trouble. It got us in trouble those last 8-9 minutes of that Baylor game. But the more the season progresses, man, guys like CBM have come in and they've really helped out with those types of things for this basketball team.
Yeah, he's bought into Bruce Pearl's mindset. He's bought into the Auburn mentality when it comes to defense and Auburn basketball. The thing that I like about CBM is it's a little bit of old school. We talk about that get into the mid range, that turnaround mid range shot that he had, and I like his attitude, man. I felt like maybe over the last couple of years we may have had. I'm not saying we didn't have any dogs, but we didn't have enough. And I think this year that with KD and with CB and I think and Janai, I think you got enough dogs. I like that attitude that he brings. I like a guy that'll get in your face and let you know a little bit. And he can do it all. And then you mentioned the unselfishness. So you got a guy, boy, this is some people might remember this. James Posey. James Posey was a guy. He won a ring with the '06 Miami Heat. I believe he won some with the Celtics as well. Spent some time in New Orleans, but kind of a James Posey game. A little bit of I'll do everything. I'll dive. I'll get the loose ball. I'll step in there and get the charge. Which, geez, that's becoming almost impossible to do in college basketball. Good Lord, but he does it all, man. I really like. There's not every part of his game, there's a little something to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, unselfish, willing to come off the bench, willing to play that defense, and a guy that will probably be starting, come SEC time every game. It'll be finishing these games out in the fourth. It's not about who starts, right? But yeah, man, and I like where I was worried about the 3 spot coming into the season, but we know what Chris Moore is, so uh, I like Chris Moore. I like where he's at because, like I said, you know where he is. You know what to expect. You know what he's going to do for you. A little bit of everything. But CBM does a little bit of everything, just at a higher level. Got more. I guess I should say more potential than Chris Moore does. Just a higher skill set. But I like it. So I was worried about that small forward position, and they kind of came in, man, and locked it down. So when I look at this team, Blake, I say, man, I like your guards. I like the way you can rotate. I like your situation at guard. I love the way that Aiden and Trey complement each other. They complement each other to the point where they can be on the floor at the same time together.
Yep.
And that's really important. Come down the last 3-4 minutes of the game. If they're both playing well, because I've been vocal about, I think, going back to the later half of last year, and even into some of this year, I think we're pulling Trey out. And then I think all of a sudden the offense tries to, it's funny to watch, Blake, and it's college kids. So I get it. But when them 3 start falling, or like there's an alley-oop, then you come back down and hit a 3 and the pace picks up, there's not a rule that says if the pace is going fast pace, you got to keep going that way, right? And I think that sometimes Aiden, a young guy, or in the past, even an older guy like Wendell would get caught up in that. Okay, we hit a 3, then they hit a 3, and then there was another big play happen, and now I got to come down and I got a wet one. Trey's never had that in his game. Trey's that guy that'll take the ball, calm down, let's set it up, and make the right smart basketball play. So, and I saw that again in the Indiana game. There was a point where early it was kind of getting away from us. Trey comes in, reins it back in, allows everybody to kind of set back up and run our offense. And then Trey's he's such a dog defensively. I mean, he plays defense like a 4-star safety, right? So I'm a big fan of the different matchups that we can make. And then KD, man, like you said, we know the book on KD now. We've read it 100 times. If you get that version of KD, then boy, it's hard to beat. And here's the thing. I think back to a game at Missouri. I could think back to a game versus Georgia. And I know there's some that I'm missing where the entire team's play like crap. And then KD comes in the second half and saves the day. He's just going to do Katie Johnson type things. But I like this. I like this team's attitude, Blake. I think that this team that we have this year has more juice than any team since our 2019 team.
Mm-hmm.
A little more of a little more dog in them. And when I listen to Bruce's press conferences, he's hard on this team, harder than he has been the last couple of years, and that tells me that he has high expectations for him.
I see some ass chewings too, brother, and I like that. I like that. It's gonna carry over deeper into the season when we get into SEC play. Man, these kids are still learning to play with each other right now. To your Chris Moore point, he's a rebounder, bro. Like I want you in there getting dirty in the paint. I want you in there on the glass. Like the same thing with Dylan Cardwell, bro. If you can catch a lob or two a game. And you can get me 8 rebounds, 9 rebounds. Like that's what I want you in there for. Give me 2-4 points. I don't care. But I know guys like CBM, Denver Jones, when he completely figures it out at Auburn and settles in, dude's gonna be a star, man. Aiden's growing up before our eyes. Like Trey Donaldson, absolute dog, man. Absolute dog. Both ends of the court. He might be the guy this year that we really look at and say, hey, he's that dude, you know. He's the one that's really like he put the team on his back, and he's that leader. And that's crazy to say because he's a sophomore, you know. But man, the newcomers on this team, like you said, we got dogs, man. We got dogs, and I feel like the guys that come in, you know, they might have had a chip on their shoulder or whatever, but it's been different this year. It feels truly different. That there's some attitude this year, and there's some guys picking each other up and saying, "Hey, look, I did this wrong. You did this wrong. We need to fix this." There's talking on the bench. Yeah, Bruce lets them play freely. But I still feel like guys hold each other accountable for mistakes. And I think you made a great point about Trey and Aiden being able to play together, moving Aiden to the 2. That's why I said a while ago, man, I truly feel like it releases a little bit of stress off of Aiden when the guard play picks up. And we don't find ourselves taking dumb shots. Katie Johnson, it's all about shot selection for KD. I mean, it truly is, man. Like, it is all about shot selection. When the kid is taking great shots, he is a dog, man. He is a dog. But then there's nights where you step back and you're like, hey, man, what are we doing? Like, why? Why did you take that? Why did you take a contested 3 in the corner, falling out of bounds? Like, why? Why did we do that? You know? But at the end of the day, man, I look at these next 2 games. Don't let a letdown happen. All right. I think this is one of the bigger games of Auburn's season just because of the way you won the other night. Because you can come out and be flat, and people are starting to talk about Auburn's, should they be ranked? You know, if you win these next 2, you're going to be ranked next week, and you just won by 30, could have won by 40 if you really wanted to. Do you come out flat against Asheville? All right. And they're a good basketball team. They're a good basketball team. Don't take them for granted. And look, here's the thing about college basketball this year, Dustin, is you get caught looking at a name and you get beat, brother. Mississippi State lost to Southern. All right. That's a SWAC school, if anybody's wondering. Don't get caught looking at a name. All right. You got USC. And that's where it's tricky to me, is because you got USC in the weekend, right? And everybody's talking about LeBron James, Bronny James. Is LeBron walking into Neville to watch Bronny? All right. It's the return of Bronny. UNC Asheville sitting there saying, hey, what about us? Kind of sounds like New Mexico State.
Hey.
You know, don't get caught sleeping, Dustin. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, we've seen some teams in the SEC get bit already, get bitten. So let's see. I'm trying to get to
Kentucky got beat the other night by somebody. Arkansas has lost one.
Yeah, it was a UNC Wilmington, I believe, is who got
Yeah.
Kentucky. I'm trying to pull up Asheville schedule. Here we go. So, pulling up UNC Asheville schedule. They're 5-5. They trying to look to see if they have any wins of note. Not really. Their last two games they lost. Western Carolina they lost 78-63, and they lost to Kennesaw State 79-76. So yeah, it's just kind of like you mentioned the New Mexico State thing, right? Just don't get caught looking ahead. You know, we've heard ever since USC was on the schedule, LeBron. I mean, like you said, LeBron going to be in Neville, that whole deal. I could really care less. I just want Auburn to come out.
That's a fact.
And because that USC game last year still stinks. I think that we turned the ball over, man. We missed open shots. We had every opportunity to win that game last year in Los Angeles, and we got smashed on the glass and still barely lost. So yeah, and I think that the guys that were on the team last year that are still on the team this year, that's gonna be one of those that's got to stick with them, right? They got to be upset about that one. So yeah. I'm looking forward to that one, and yeah, it's just this is such a tough non-conference schedule, dude, that if we get out of this thing with just one more loss, even two, I really wouldn't. I don't really want to find another one there, but we got out of here with one more loss heading into the SEC play, and I'll feel really good about it. I think we're starting to figure out some rotations. We're kind of starting to figure out, what people's strengths are. We need Denver to get going. We need Chaney to kind of find his groove and get going. But I like where we're at, Blake, and we've seen us. I feel like our tournament runs have come up short in these last couple of seasons because of guard play.
Yep.
And right now, where we're at, depth wise and health wise, I think we're good. And something that you drove home last year was that we were getting killed. We were getting killed in crucial moments because our guards were not big enough. Now, has Denver Jones shot the ball the best so far? No, he hasn't. He kind of found he looked good. He looked good versus Indiana. It was he probably could have scored more. It was if you look at the stats that was spread around. I read them earlier. Everybody got in on the action with the exception of Johni Broome, which is crazy. But
he wasn't feeling it. He wasn't feeling it. Yeah, he knew it was an off day.
Yeah, he just let everybody else eat. But excuse me, talking about third. But what was I talking about, Blake? I lost my train of thought, brother. I got about choked there and
your guard play.
With guard play. Yeah, Denver. So on defense, man, Denver is locked down, and that's one of the things where come March we get into these tournament games, and I feel really comfortable with Denver versus a guy like Wendell Green, where you were just getting you're just getting beat, man, and it wasn't for lack of effort, and then. Zeb Jasper, who was a monster on defense, one of the best defenders to ever come through Auburn, but you're going 2 or 3 games without him getting a field goal for you. So I think that Trey can give you both. Obviously Aiden can light you up. KD can come in. He can play some 2 off ball. He can run point if he has to. I really like our guard setup. Sorry about choke there and about lost my train of thought.
Hey, you had a rough week, man. It's all good. We know you had surgery and you've been through the ringer, brother. But
tough visit today.
Yeah, we gonna be all right, man. That's why I'm here. Hey, you asked me what was I talking about? I got you, brother.
Hey,
I got you.
Yes, but, sir. Well, hey, man, we appreciate all y'all. You got anything before we go, Blake?
I just want to say, Auburn football, keep pounding. Keep believing. Don't buy into trolls on the internet.
Oh,
all right. Goodness. Keep pushing the positivity of Auburn football. This program, all right. This program is killing it. They're gonna kill it in the portal. They're killing it in recruiting. Just keep pushing the positivity, man. Do not feed into the trolls. Look, I can tell you right now, they're scared. They're scared. All right. And they're scared for a reason because they know Auburn's about to have a top 10 class and they can't stand it. They are in the college football playoffs and all they can think about is the Auburn Tigers, man. Crazy. Sad. And I can't imagine my basketball team having 3 losses. Can't do it. Don't know what it feels like yet. Hate it for you. Yeah,
tough times over there in T-Town when it comes to the hardwood. And like you mentioned, man, why are you worrying about what we got going? You're going to the playoffs.
That's a fact, man.
You were going to the dance, and we're over here, Music City Bowl bound,
Yeah.
right? Something that they ain't seen since Mike Shula was roaming the sidelines, and you still are creating troll accounts to try to come over here. It's something else, brother. It's something else.
That is the weirdest energy. This is the last thing I'll say about that. That is super weird. I'll be the first person to say it, man. Is like I follow recruiting, and I know Dustin definitely follows recruiting. But I'll be the first one to tell you, bro, I'm not about to go hop on a 17-year-old's Instagram or Twitter or whatever to see what they're liking, who they're liking, or whatever. All right. Like, I just think it's weird that you have that much time in your day to create this account and troll, and you want to make these edits and stuff and all. Like, it's just weird, bro. Like, I don't get it. I love following recruiting. I think it's awesome what these kids, they get to take official visits, and they get to go see parts of the country they ain't never seen before, and like, all that's cool, man. But I'm not about to sit here in my free time or while I'm at work and be like, oh man, Perry Thompson's in Tuscaloosa right now. Perry Thompson, he's flipping back to Alabama, and you ain't got a clue. You have no idea, man. Like, it's just weird energy, man. Like, look, we'll find out. It's a week away. All right, like we'll literally find out in a week. All right, and after that, it'll all be set in stone, and national letters of intent will be faxed over, and we'll all know, and then we'll look to February and who's signing in February. It's just weird to me, man. It's super weird.
Yeah, when ending on a basketball note, LeBaron Fallon. I spent all kind of time and of my energy going up and watching LeBaron play, and then we did episodes and reacted to it and all that kind of stuff. And he commits to Auburn, and the day he commits to Auburn, I go up there and watch all that and watch him play that night. And we do an episode, special stuff with it, special content from it and all that. And then he ends up committing to Kansas and moving out of Mobile and everything else. And what did we say? Man, best of luck to you, man. I mean, it's not our decision to make. So, yeah, strange times. Just shows that you're weird. Shows that you got a lot of time on your hands and you're super bored. And but keep doing that. We'll be back tomorrow night, Tuesday, 7 p.m. talking tons of recruiting. We've probably added some more people just so we started recording here, Blake.
Yeah,
adding some JUCO offensive linemen today. At that Georgia State wide receiver transfer. So tons and tons of football news to talk about coming up this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. We will see y'all there, man. Hit that like button. Look, we're knocking on the door of 1,500 subs.
Yeah, we are.
We're knocking on the door of 1,500 subs.
Get us there.
So hit that sub button. All you Bama fans that have been watching lately, just hit the sub button. It's easy. Yeah, it's easier than you having to type in the Up Tempo podcast in your search bar and searching us out. Just sub, baby. Just sub, Mike. We see you. We love all y'all, man. War Damn Eagle. We'll be back tomorrow talking some football. We're out of here, y'all.
War Damn, baby.